it'll feel like a heat wave tomorrow, right? With temperatures going up to close to 30 degrees. I'm not sure we're quite going to get there, but it is going to warm up. We'll give you a full forecast coming up in a little bit. Big day for the Knicks yesterday, huh? Not that I follow it, but
I don't follow them. I don't follow them much anymore either. But, yeah, their superstar player who they just drafted a couple of years ago, and he's only 23. They just traded him to Dallas. Rumor has it they're doing this to clear the way for either Kevin Durant, one of the top three probably biggest superstars in the game right now, and maybe Kyrie Irving from the Celtics. They're supposed to have like $70 million in cap space now. Will the Knicks actually do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. A lot going on this weekend. We have a pair of tickets to give away for the Pioneers. They'll be playing 2 games. They play at home tonight and tomorrow night, and we'll give you a chance to win a pair of tickets for tomorrow night's game. We'll get to that. Also, there was an announcement yesterday that what we had broken here a while back is that Dave Gordon is running for county executive. Hoo-hoo. And we'll tell you who was there at his event, which I think is kind of interesting. It looks like there is a bit of a stalemate between the president and Nancy Pelosi on border security and on the wall. Rachel Sutherland standing by right now from Fox News to talk about that. They both seem to be dug in, Rachel. Good morning.
Yes, they do. Good morning. Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, saying that there's going to be no money for a border wall at all after a second day of negotiations, saying that he could, as in the president, have some what they call Normandy fencing, which is a lower, shorter type of barrier that looks like someone could pretty much easily scale. The president telling the New York Times that the negotiations are a waste of time and that he plans on, after the 2 weeks elapse, because there's going to be 2 weeks from today the potential of another partial government shutdown. He's considering going in the other direction, which is declaring a national emergency, but that has a lot of legal complications.
However, I've heard some people talking about this politically. It does seem to be a way where the president can move forward without shutting the government down. And even if he were to lose in court, he never caved in, right?
Well, that is exactly. That's one tack that he could take. He may lose in court because I don't think anything like this has ever been attempted. Of course, under the National Emergencies Act, the president can declare a national emergency. The idea here is to siphon money from the Pentagon's budget to be able to build the wall. But again, I mean, we're not sure how a court would rule. In the 1950s, President Truman declared an emergency in order to be able to take over the steel industry because they were going to go on strike, and you can't really make bombs, and the Korean War was on. So, but at that time, Supreme Court ruled against President Truman.
And that was a looming war, and bombs needed to be made. It came coming off the heels of World War II as well. So. Interesting. All right, Rachel, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Rachel Sutherland from Fox News. Roger Stone is out making, he put a video out yesterday, and it is, are you ready for this? How to, I believe it's appear in federal court and look classy. So he was all dressed up.
Style's always been important to him.
Style for him. The problem is he was wearing a suit that was about 30 years old. But either way, how to dress for court is the theme. It was somewhat of a bizarre video. You could certainly check it out. It's out there. How about, and I think we do this every time it gets really cold. You'll see this story pop up. But Hell, Michigan is about 50 miles west of Detroit, and a reporter did kind of a corny report on how it is true. Yes, it's finally happened. Hell has frozen over.
I am so going to hell to find out how cold it is there today.
I'm standing on one of the lakes in hell. So yeah, not only is it a cold day in hell, hell has frozen over.
It's a brutal day in hell. It's colder than hell.
Must be the Lions are in the Super Bowl because hell's froze over.
Our Wi-Fi password is go to hell. So when people ask what's your Wi-Fi, go to hell.
Never say when hell freezes over, because hell has froze over.
We love it down here. You know, we feel like we got our own little slice of hell.
Stay warm, guys.
Go to hell. Go to hell. Yeah.
That's actually my favorite part of it.
Well, they're having a little bit of fun with that, I guess. Right? Coming up, we'll talk to Willie Waffle, weekend's movies. Tanya J. Powers. There's some very interesting court cases that are coming up on abortion that the Supreme Court might end up hearing. That's going to be very interesting. The water, still a huge problem in the village of Ilion. And the governor was what is going on here?
He's just making the rounds in Central New York.
What is like fourth or fifth time here?
Well, whenever there's a crisis, Governor Cuomo is there.
I've got a crisis for him. It's right over here in Marcy. It's called the Nano Center.
Yes,
he doesn't seem to come out for that one.
What we're
That'd be a
do...
good crisis to address, maybe not. But this was a big deal. They brought water to Ilion,
40,000 bottles,
and they're going to. And I wonder what happens. So you think about we're in the midst of some sub-zero temperatures, and probably didn't even get to 10 yesterday in Ilion, and now it's going to go up to 30. It's going to go up to the upper 40s by early week. Now the ground is going to shift all over again.
Yeah.
So what happens then?
We may see him again.
Wow. You see
standing
the
on
again.
Top of the CSX bridge. I will not leave this bridge.
You know, you're right. You know that something bad is going on when the governor shows up. So, okay, it is Super Bowl weekend, and of course, Brandon Lang is the inspiration for the film Two for the Money. We'll have him on later on to talk about some extracurricular picks for this weekend, Super Bowl 53. Also, Joel Barkin, he is the Vice President of Communications for the United Indian Nation. We can chat with him this morning. I wonder if they're targeting March for the opening of that betting center.
I think I was here.
Or is it going to be fall? Because March would be a pretty big month for college basketball.
Already constructing that.
It's underway. Construction.
That part of the casino. So
yeah.
I'm sure they're in a hurry.
As far as state approval goes, though, I'm hearing April. And you're talking about for the tournament, the NCAA tournament?
Yes.
Yeah. So that would have to be
a month too late
in March.
Yeah.
We've been on baseball spring training games.
Just this time.
So we'll speak with Joel on that. And, of course, their issue today is the contributions they have made to Oneida County, and that's always one of the big questions. Since the deal has been done, how much of that money makes its way to here? And we'll talk to Joel about that a little bit later on this morning. Chuck Lester, I mentioned Ilion's Water. He's on this morning to give us an update. He was there front and center with the governor yesterday, and there's a conservative Republican who has spoken about this governor, saying that he is paying attention when they're calling for help. Gary Heenan, head coach of the Utica Pioneers, is on later on this morning as well. We have a free money question from Hobica coming up, and a whole bunch more to get into. Dave Gordon, yes.
We heard this morning that, did you announce this Route 51 in Ilion?
No longer closed.
Yes,
so there was the Otsego Street water main break as well, but crews have been able to get on top of that, repair it, and both lanes of 51 are now open.
Yeah, and that would be Otsego Street. So I'm surprised it's being called Route 51, but it's Otsego Street.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
it goes into 51, into the
That's
Ilion,
the New York State
Gorge.
DOT
right, they
official
call it Route
name.
51.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's Otsego Street.
Yeah, Route 51 parenthesis.
It's Otsego Street, and I can't imagine the gorge is closed. It's just that area in the village of Ilion where there's a water main break, right?
Yeah, it was between Old Forge Road and Elizabethtown Road, but it's all good now.
Okay, so that's
what was closed.
Okay,
but is no longer.
So that is the road that goes up past the reservoir. So that's the road that was closed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And to Elizabethtown Road,
Old Forge Road.
Okay, no, that's Otsego Street. Yeah, Elizabethtown is the. I'll get you there. Elizabethtown is the road that their reservoir, which is the topic of huge conversation every year with all the algae and all of that. So that would come right to the beginning where it becomes that what people call the gorge. So yeah. Otsego Street. We'll talk to Chuck Lester later on this morning on that. And Dave Gordon did announce yesterday that he's running for county executive. And just hot off his run for county clerk, just 2 steps away from dog catcher. Which if he doesn't win here, what is next? What do you run for next?
Did somebody say yesterday, jokingly, Utica mayor? Maybe move into the city and then run for mayor?
Well, he'd have to move into the city. And,
is he not already in the city as a former legislator?
No, I think he's New Hartford guy.
Okay. So, the question is, who's backing Dave Gordon? And I'm going to tell you right now, this poor kid, he's not a poor kid. He's no longer a kid. He's an adult who should know better. He is completely being used based on someone's hatred of Tony Picenti. Completely being used. Talked into this, given talking points, given dirty little secrets so he can run with the stuff. And we're talking about Claudia Tenney, who was, by the way, confirm this for me, Davey, you were there. Claudia Tenney was at the announcement.
Yeah, and I have a picture if you want to see it.
He's even done a picture.
Actually, wasn't she waiting?
Yes.
She may have been waiting for a train.
She might have been waiting for a train.
We could never know.
With her very good friend, Dave Townsend. So, was he there too?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, see? And they're using him because they hate Tony Picenti so much, and this is revenge. She has lost. You would think that she would have learned that the nastiness didn't work in her race against Anthony Brindisi, and maybe to come in and just be decent to people might bring her at least some good fortune.
Well, why do you think he's being used? I think he's
being used because he hasn't
he didn't want
chance
to run?
Here. No, he wants to run for whatever.
Yeah.
But a normal mind would tell you, for God's sakes, the chairman of the Republican Party in the city of Utica said, what? Don't do this. Please don't run. You're splitting the party. It's a mistake. Okay? You're running against you're a Republican, supposedly. You're running against somebody who, you want to debate it, you can debate it, but Tony Picenti has probably done, I really believe will go down in history as being one of the best, if not the best county executives Oneida County has ever had, based on everything that has gone on right now. And you can debate it all you want, but this is a hatred. This is Claudia's hatred of Tony Picenti.
Why do you think she wouldn't run?
Come on, you know it. I know what you're playing devil's advocate.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I just don't know that he's being used.
100%. He's being used because he's a moron. Okay? He's an idiot. He can't win. His own party is telling him, don't do this. But she's trying to create this already failed division of the Republican Party that's hers, and she's failed at that already. So what comes next? Why wouldn't she run? That's
what I'm saying.
She should run. But she doesn't want to do that because that would be seen as a step down. She wouldn't go from Congress to county executive.
And imagine she loses that race.
Could you imagine? What would Trump think? So I just think it's a big shame. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to lower taxes. I'm going to bring economic development in here with not a single tax dollar. It'll be fully funded by my pipe dream. Because guess what? How do you think, and Jeff, honestly, how do you think he pulls that off? We're no longer talking about the rent is too damn high or the DMV lines are too damn long. He's getting into some real stuff now. So what do you cut? We're going to lessen the government. We're going to make government smaller. What he does, he goes on and he watches old videos of national politicians and he repeats that crap. And then Claudia messages him a few things to say. It is a joke. I can't even believe it. A joke. At least running, it is awful.
Keep it up, Bill. You're going to get him elected.
No. Because let me tell you something. Sandy DePerno was a horrible candidate. He ain't playing ball with Sandy DePerno anymore. This is a whole new ball game. And good luck with it. I wish Claudia would have run. That would have been exciting. Sue in Utica. Hello, Sue. How are you?
Good morning. We were watching the news last night, and WUTR, scanned the crowd that was there. And I spotted her, and we had it on tape, so I backed it up, and I told my husband, he goes, where is she? I go, how can you miss her? She's right there.
There was only 15 people there.
Well, Listen, does it surprise you, Sue?
No. The minute he announced, my husband and I both said, we know who's behind this.
I believe I said the same thing back when we thought he was going to run, but for her to show, and I just think that just take a breather if you're Claudia. Take a breather. Don't get into the nastiness, because there is 2 years down the road or a year down the road, she could come back and maybe run. Who knows what Anthony Brindisi does? She might have an opportunity. It's not like she didn't get a lot of votes. She certainly did get a lot of votes. But a lot of that had to do with Trump coming to town. A lot of that had to do with Nancy Pelosi. This one is a completely different deal. I think this is a huge mistake for her, and unfortunately, Dave Gordon becomes the victim. But guess what? He's old enough to know better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is. He's old enough to know better, and he doesn't realize that he's almost become a laughing stock. He is a laughing stock, not becoming.
Well, I mean, if the number of people that have said trying to crack the dog catcher joke, I mean, everybody's running with that. You're right. It's a laughing stock. It's a joke. It's a shame.
It's sad, because maybe his career could have gone further if he just stepped back and thought about this. But, they fed him that poisonous drink, and he's following in their footsteps, and it's unfortunate because, like I say, he could have a good future if he really thought about it.
I agree with you 100%, Sue. I agree 100%, and I appreciate your call. Good hearing from you there, Sue.
Okay, take it easy.
She took a little breather after the congressional race. She was very vocal during that race.
Big Tenney supporter.
Tim in Utica on Dave Gordon. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Bill. Hey, listen, I think you got this all wrong.
Okay.
I don't think it's Claudia Tenney. I think she's the puppet.
Oh, you think? So you think Dave Gordon is pulling the strings?
No, I think the other Dave is pulling the strings.
Oh, Mr. Townsend. Okay, that's a very interesting take on that, Tim. Very interesting take.
I think that's the whole shebang right there.
Let's take Dave Gordon out of the picture. If you're someone who is lost time and time again, take him out of the picture. How is that perceived when you hear he just came off the county clerk's race and now he's running for county executive? And he ran for Congress, he ran for legislator, he ran for ... I mean, as a citizen, isn't that kind of a bit of a joke? Tim, take him out of it.
Yeah, he's a career candidate. That's all he is.
Yeah. All right, Tim, you have a wonderful day and a great weekend.
You too.
All right. I'm just saying. And by the way, big surprise, Jim Zecca is all in on the Gordon campaign. They had the whole crew there yesterday.
Yeah,
Give us some names. Who was there yesterday? Of the 15 people that were there at the train, is it the train station?
Yeah.
Are we still going down the DMV road? Apparently.
Well, one of the reporters asked him, how come you chose the train station in Rome as your press conference?
It was the train station right in Rome.
And he goes, well, the people in Rome were gracious to me when I was running for county clerk, so that's why I chose the train station.
So he doesn't like people in Utica.
Well, they're big supporters. That's not true.
Former Congresswoman Claudia Tenney.
She was there. It's divided the Republican Party.
Oneida County legislator Frank Tellerino.
The only people are the crazies. I'm sorry. They're the only ones. Is that a bad thing to say? It's accurate.
He's a Democrat, isn't he?
Frank Tellerino?
Yeah. So, see, this is an interesting thing.
It's an anti-Pacenti group.
Yeah.
It's an anti-Oneida Nation.
Yeah.
Was Bova there? Please tell me he wasn't there.
Oh, he was there.
For God's sakes, go back to nursing. Just get out of this political thing. They've dragged you into this. I mean, first time I met him, nicest guy in the world. All of a sudden, he was stung by the poisonous bee, and he just became poison. Anti this, anti that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Bang! What happens? He got killed in his election.
Any other political folks there?
Former Oneida County legislator Dave Townsend's brother Ron Townsend was there.
There you go. Yeah.
And Jim Zecca. That's
okay.
Do you understand what we're talking about? The minute you come in and you see that crew, you're like, okay, this isn't constructive. This is built on hate. That's all this is. And there's one ringleader. I disagree with Tim. There's one. because somebody's wrapped around somebody's finger, and I disagree with Tim. I'll break enough of this. For God's sakes, I'll probably have a heart attack here. This is, and they could only wish, that group could only wish, I would think. And by the way, Dave, I appreciate the fact that that you're not coming on the air with us and you've refused. We only ask because we have to. I know the answer. You're going to say no. And thank you for that, because ask Claudia how that worked out for her, by the way. Because you don't think that played a role? It certainly did, especially in a close race like that. But go ahead, do that. We don't have to listen to your goofy rhetoric. I can hear that on some national campaign. Half this stuff. I would love to have him on the air I can't stop it. I would love to have him on the air just to say, how are you going to justify so take any of the, I'm going to lower taxes, economic development. We're going to bring companies and corporations in here without any tax dollars. How are you going to do that? When every other municipality in New York State, when every other state in the union is throwing all of these tax deals at these companies, do you think Tractor Supply just magically appeared? Do you think that just happened? Go down and ask those conservatives in Herkimer County how that got done. They worked the deal. And it takes a lot to get it done. Brindisi was right there with them. Believe me, you asked them. And it involved tax breaks, big tax breaks, because it wouldn't happen without it. It never would have happened without it. Those jobs would not have occurred in Herkimer County without it. And there's something you can applaud. That is a business that has completely transformed that business park. But that never would have happened without deals. Wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have. Do you think Amazon just magically appeared in Long Island? No. They cut huge deals, and it's a controversy. They're the same garbage you're hearing down there.
They don't even want it there.
They don't want it, and they could lose it at this point. And the governor's backing away a little bit, saying, "Well, listen, you're going to have to win these people over if this is going to go through." So it's fine to say. It's one thing to say. It is awful that we have to basically lure these people in with tax breaks, these businesses in, and these corporations in. It is awful. So be accurate when you say it. It's terrible that we have to do it. But you know what? We have to do it. You have no choice.
Yeah, everybody else is doing it.
You know? Everybody else does it. It's a reality. Like it or not. You could be the lone person out there, the lone municipality, the lone county saying, we're not going to do it. Well, good for you. Guess where that gets you? You'll look like Mississippi, which apparently we're probably not too far from that. I do have to break, though. We'll take calls if you'd like. And actually, I'm really happy because it's going to make for a real joyous campaign with a lot of laughs. We are required to ask him to come on. I wish we could just completely ignore him. We're required. We have to ask him to come on. Yeah. Every time Paseni comes on, we have to offer that piece of garbage time. So he's like, yeah, they want to come on. They want me to come on. They keep asking me. They're begging me to come on. No, we're required to. If I had my way, I'd have you on, but you'd be singing karaoke, which is probably the best thing that you do. And even that's a little over the top, I think. Tanya J. Powers standing by on the line right now. Good morning, Tanya. How are you? Sorry.
Every time I come on with y'all, I'm just wondering what the fantastic segment was that I just missed.
I'm in a mood. It's terrible. I woke up. I didn't wake up on the wrong, and believe me, to wake up on the wrong side of the bed, we have a king-size bed, and I'm not that large. It's a long couple of rolls to get on the other side of the bed.
Yeah, and Bill hates the weekends, so really Fridays are brutal for us.
It's terrible. I hate Fridays. We got to go through 2 days before we can go back into this.
I know. It's awful.
Okay. Okay, so very interesting. There's a couple of key abortion cases that are lingering out there from state to state, and this one in Virginia is a real doozy because it looks like the what do they call it, infanticide, which is basically late-term abortion, right?
Yeah, this is kind of the debate that has now been really amplified, if you will, in Virginia, because I really hadn't heard too much about this on a national level until this radio interview and, of course, this viral video that happened of one of the lawmakers that is, sponsoring this.
Yeah.
And the legislation's being sponsored by one of the delegates, I guess, is what they call them, Kathy Tran, the legislation would reduce the number of doctors needed to certify late-term abortions from 3 to 1. It would also delete the requirement that doctors determine that continuing a pregnancy would substantially impair a woman's health. Instead, they only have to certify that the woman's health was impaired and nothing else. Otherwise, there's other things they have to certify. The way it would stand now, they want to redo it. And so there was this video of her saying that the bill would allow abortions up until moments before birth. And that is the thing that the governor commented on, and that is one of the reasons that the story is now on the minds of a lot more people.
And I believe the president has piped in on this as well, right?
I would not doubt that.
Yeah, he has. So where does this whole thing go? And it's funny, you would think that these are issues that would have been resolved over the years, and it just isn't. It's almost a bit of Groundhog Day. We argue this, and with the Supreme Court right now, that is President Trump's Supreme Court, and more conservative. I think they're really kind of testing how far this court will go to limit Roe v. Wade, or maybe even eliminate Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the reasons that I don't think that was a big secret about when he ran for president, what he would do with the court, and why it was important for people to vote for him, according to his campaign and his supporters, that was one of the key reasons that they kept coming back to. Even people who, weren't thrilled with the way he would act, personally or on the campaign trail or anything. That was when I covered this in 2016. That was one of the things that people kept coming back to was, yes, but he's going to put conservative judges on the court, and they'll overturn Roe v. Wade. So yeah, this is a small piece of a story in a much bigger narrative.
All right, Tanya, you enjoy the weekend. Tanya G. Powers from Fox News.
Thank
as
you.
always, it is a pleasure. Thanks so much. We'll break and talk to Willie Waffle on the movies this weekend. There's a couple of, are we to the weekend where it starts to get good? Because up to this point, we've been getting some real stinkers.
Right before Christmas, it got good. We got like a few three and a halves, but it's been kind of...
Michael says, you should start listening to Nancy Reagan with Dave Gordon and Just Say No. Oh, yeah. Maybe Dave Gordon should be listening to Nancy Reagan. Just say no. I'm not gonna do it. That was George H.W. Bush. The speech yesterday, there's one line in there I find interesting. Could you read from it, Jeff? You're going through it.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of good ones in here. I think that you would find interesting. Okay, he's taking shots at Piceni for endorsing Andrew Cuomo in the last election, and then for not backing Claudia Tenney in this most recent election. He goes on to call him...
You got to know, why Piceni and everybody else didn't back Claudia Tenney. Because she was against everything they were doing. Is that any surprise? I don't want to defend him.
He says that...
but I will.
Accuses Piceni of having the most liberal agenda in Oneida County's recent history. I will do none of the above. This is Gordon saying, I do not support Governor Cuomo's liberal agenda. However, I do support our President Donald J. Trump in his efforts to protect the American people, all while draining the swamp. He goes on to say, Piceni was so excited to meet President Barack Obama on Rome's tarmac, but never even showed up for President Trump's recent visit to Utica or Rome.
He was, along with every other Republican, as Claudia Tenney was trying to settle scores, they were all not invited. Republican Jackie Izzo of Rome in her own city, not invited. Specifically, Secret Service specifically told these people were not invited. So now we're going to reinvent the truth. Oh, this is going to be fun.
He also says here he's looking to turn the Oneida County Board back into the County Board of Supervisors.
Right.
What does that mean? What's the difference between the Board of Legislators and Supervisors?
I believe the towns and villages.
So basically anti-consolidated services.
No. He goes on to say in here that he also wants to do some consolidation, but I don't think he specifically mentions anything.
Make the Oneida County government smaller.
I'm not positive on this. I know many people listening could shed more light on this, but I believe with the Board of Supervisors, you have the elected officials from the town and village level who represent the town and village at the board meeting. So you don't have representative from New Hartford who's not on the town council, not on the village council, not you understand what I'm saying? So it's the people who are already in the government, I believe. Please feel free to correct me.
And I'm assuming that would save certainly save money. Interesting. I just it's amazing the world we live in today where it is constantly campaigning. We just have come off one of the toughest campaigns this area has ever seen, and we're going right back into a bunch of them. It's almost as if
a little break at Christmas.
There is no break. What Christmas dinner did you eat? Because there was no break in my house.
That's true.
Willie Waffle standing by right now. Willie, there's no end to the madness, it seems.
No, it never ends. The presidential campaign goes on forever. The politics go on forever. We're all just fighting for our little piece, I guess.
I guess. You're right. You're right. And you can't wait to see the commercials. That's what happens. Are we looking at a good movie this weekend, or what do you think? This movie's about has a little El Chapo flavor to it. What is this about?
Well, it's called Miss Bala, and it's Gina Rodriguez. Most people know her as Jane the Virgin from TV, and she and her friend go down to Tijuana for a beauty pageant, and when they're out clubbing and having a good time, they're kidnapped by a drug cartel, and the cartel tells Gina, you've got to do some dirty deeds for us to win your freedom, but we all know it won't be that easy.
Yeah. What do you think of this one?
It's not very good. I mean, I'm not surprised. Come on, it's Super Bowl weekend. Everybody's watching football.
Good point.
And even Hollywood knows that. So, you've got a very formulaic movie. It's very predictable. It's very cartoonish. The only thing that I really like about it is Gina Rodriguez. She's a very talented young actress. And I think she's going to do very well when she gets better roles and better movies. You can't blame this one on her. Okay, this one is because it's badly written. But she brings a lot of soul to that character. You want to root for her because she's so likable. So that's why I'll at least say 1.5 waffles.
All right. I'm going to throw movies that are out there right now. If somebody did want to go to the movies this weekend, I'll throw them out, and you yell no or see it. Okay?
Yeah. All right.
So we already know you don't really like Miss Bala, but, 1.5 waffles. The Kid Who Would Be King.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think we went 2.
I'm sorry.
That's a different category. Okay, so there are 3 categories here. Glass, the movie Glass, Willie.
No, not
Really?
unless you're really into all of it.
Okay, The Upside. The Upside.
Yes, this is the movie. It may not be a great movie, but it's a nice feel-good movie.
Okay, and A Dog's Way Home, which is a PG movie.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Just no.
All right. It's always Willie Waffle. WaffleMovies.com is the website you can certainly check out. Willie, we appreciate it. You have a wonderful weekend, man.
All right, you stay warm, guys.
Yeah. How bad is it down there? There's an interesting story. First of all, how cold is it?
It's so cold, my door wouldn't lock on my car yesterday.
That does happen. I had my windshield washer fluid, and I stored the car in a garage. The windshield, I couldn't get the stuff to come out. It was all frozen up just from the drive. Pretty crazy. There's a story in Binghamton that I was reading this morning where at the high school,
and Cuomo's getting involved.
Middle school, Cuomo is involved. These 4 girls were strip searched, and the parents weren't informed. What do you know about that story? Are you hearing any of that?
Oh, yeah, I've been actually following this. So it's East Middle School here in Binghamton, and these 4 African-American gals claim that they were strip searched because they were acting giddy like they were on drugs. Now, the school says there was no strip search. It seems to be there is a dispute over whether or not making them take off their jackets and maybe like a sweatshirt amounted to a strip search.
Really?
It's very unclear what's happening.
So you think this is because the school is saying that the parents were informed. The parents were saying they were never informed about this. So you think there's a lot of lying going on here?
Maybe there's a lot of misinterpretation. Maybe there's some lying. I think the basic premise of why did we feel we had to pull these girls aside because they were acting giddy? I mean, what made you think these 12 or 14-year-old girls were on drugs. I mean,
that
that
young,
to me
wow.
seems a little extreme.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a group behind this. They call themselves SLOT, and I can't remember what the acronym is for, but they're a community group that's pushing, punishment on the school. They've been trying to get more and more involved in issues like this throughout the community, and they're trying to make a name for themselves. And I think that's going to complicate things in a very big way.
Yeah. Interesting, because when you read through the story, it's hard to believe that a public school in 2019 would do some of the things that they're being accused of doing. Kind of hard to believe that this day and age, knowing how sensitive everybody is. But, by the way, middle school and drugs, don't you go thinking that's too early for these kids. It is I hate to say it, but it's a big deal. And don't y'all remember the kid coming into class, and he had just been at lunchtime, just been out smoking pot, and you literally were getting a high feeling just by sitting near his desk, just because the smell was so pungent, because he had just smoked it just before he walked in. Nobody ever did a strip search on him. They just knew it. Okay, there's Bob. Hi, Bob. He's always high.
Well, remember the kids, there was the kids at a local high school recently, I think it was like 2 years ago, that were middle school football, JV football players that were accused of doing drugs on the bus.
On the bus. That was Central Valley, I think.
Yeah.
That was down in Ilion. Yeah. All right, Willie. Good times, man. Good times. Scary times.
Hey, I'll keep my eyes open for you. This Binghamton thing is blowing up big time.
It's a big story, yeah. All right, Willie, enjoy the weekend. We'll talk next week.
All right, talk to you later.
It's wafflemovies.com. If you own a home or you own a property, you own a business, we take that for granted. You begin to have a water problem, your property values plummet. It is such a horrible problem. And to not be able to use your water, if you've ever been through a boil water order or anything like that, it's tough to deal with. And this problem is severe in the village of Ilion. Chuck Lester is on the village board, and he's joining us right now to give us an update. The governor, let's start with that, Chuck. And you're a conservative. I don't know many people that are more conservative than you. But it does seem that the state, Albany, and the governor is paying attention to Ilion's needs. What's your take on this?
Well, I'm very appreciative of the governor coming up and, meeting with us. It was really great. He seems like a very amicable guy. I kept all my political views to myself, as did the mayor and everybody else that we dealt with. We were here. He was here for our water issue.
Yeah. You have a crisis.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And he toured the site of the Behringer Road break, and then we had an excellent meeting with Roanne DeStito, the governor, the mayor, myself, and Ron Schoonmaker, are one of the village trustees also.
And you cannot help but, especially if you're, I lived in Ilion, you cannot help but realize he's just a few blocks away from Remington Arms and all of this gun legislation, everything else going on. So it would have been easy for somebody to really get into that debate, but he was there. I give the guy credit for being there.
He took a long look at the Remington shotgun that's mounted on the wall in the village office.
All right, good.
So he read the script on that too.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is that, like I was telling Davey earlier, I'm not one that gets involved in something and then sits on my hands.
Right.
And with Brian and I give Brian a lot of credit because he lets me go. Brian, being a police officer for all those years, he's the diplomat, and I'm kind of the hammer. And I laid it right out to the governor, gave him all the information about our water system, the history of it, that it's the oldest operating slow sand filtration system in the country.
Wow.
There are a couple that operate that are older, but they don't operate on a daily basis. And I explained to him the situation with our wells and what we want to try to accomplish with the transmission line from the wells to the treatment plant. And I also told him that basically we are not looking for a 5, 10, 15-year solution. I'm looking for another 100 years, way beyond my lifetime, that the upgrades that we do, will still be serving the residents of the area.
Yeah, it's time for a a permanent fix, at least a long-term fix. These Band-Aids are really becoming part of the problem, I'm afraid. And I'm not just talking about Ilion. This is, and Chuck, I said this leading up and promoting the fact that we're going to have you on. I can't imagine you disagree with me. This, don't look and say, oh, Ilion, boy, we all better be looking at Ilion and saying, this could be us next.
Listen, absolutely. There was a study released by the federal government last year that ranked New York State the lowest, or the most neediest, I guess would be a better term, in terms of infrastructure repairs.
Yeah.
Water, sewer, and bridges and roads. And and the mayor even, I keep calling the mayor, sorry, Governor. The governor last night even said that, the idea of sewer and water and stuff like that being underground, it's out of sight, so if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
And I've been preaching that all along. And I'm not saying that was a bad thing. It just, that's the way things were done. And now we're going to try to play catch up. And I'm very excited that he stopped in and took a hard look at what we've got going on. We've already got plans to meet ahead of time with Rowan DeStito and some officials. And then we're going to go on a road trip down to Albany and meet with the governor and more officials down there and see where we're going to end up.
All right, so I want to throw out some quickies at you here. Number one, you had another water main break yesterday on Otsego Street. So
let me give you the history on that one. Yeah. Last week, we noticed a spike in the draw in the flow on that particular main. Nothing had surfaced, and our guys went out trying to look for stuff, and they really couldn't seem to find anything. Of course, with the cold weather and stuff, the water was going deeper instead of up. And we actually called in a company that has the equipment to locate running water, if you will. And they had to cancel because of the weather. And about 5:30, 6 o'clock last night, that break on Otsego Street surfaced. That was after the Behringer Road break was fixed, and while they were still working on the valve on 6th Ave, which is completely repaired.
So we had a report yesterday. A guy by the name of Sergio called in and said he'd reported this up on 6th Ave, thought there was another, and that is accurate. So there was another problem on 6th Ave as well.
Yeah, it was at the foot of the hill, and during the shutoff, a stem broke on the valves. Now, you got to figure out what a valve is. It's about 4 to 6 feet below the ground. Mm-hmm. It's old, and you got to put a big T-bar on it, and that's after they excavate the hole, the opening for the valve, because they have a tendency to get filled with whatever the road salt, sand, and water that leaks into them. And that one broke, and now that's fixed. And the idea is that 4 o'clock this morning, the mayor got a text from the crew up on Otsego Street that they were done and heading home. What
is the so we're at -6 right now. I don't know what it is in Ilion right now, but it's cold. It's about we're going to get into the upper 20s tomorrow. It's going to probably crack 30 degrees, maybe 35 on Sunday, and close to 50 by Tuesday. So we see this in the springtime when all of the potholes show up and the heaving in the roads. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to start going on, right? So this warmth could it cause even more problems for you?
I'm not gonna speculate on that. Yeah. I listen. I'm crossing both my fingers and my toes right now to that nothing like this happens for the foreseeable future.
And
you'd be really surprised that what happens when we get these real spikes in the cold weather. Mm-hmm. The frost line penetrates down more, and when that does, it actually pushes the earth. You would not believe it, but you can take a 12, 16-inch pipe, and it will look like somebody cut it with a pipe cutter.
Wow!
It will actually literally snap almost perfectly straight.
Yep.
The only advantage of those kind of brakes, which we call a ring-around brake, is you can put a clamping system on it to temporarily fix it, get out of the cold, and then in the springtime really get in there and take care of it. What this was on Behringer Road, it was kind of different.
Right.
There are 2 4-inch lines that are connected to the 8-inch line. And the 2 4-inch lines broke back away from the 8-inch, not right at the T.
Yeah.
So obviously that 8-inch line was just pouring water out of those broken 4-inch lines, and that's where the problem was. And I just got to say that I hope people will appreciate what these village employees in all the departments, right from the clerk's office all the way down to the DPW, the firemen, the policemen, the water department, the light department, they all ganged up on this situation we had. And just imagine outside the way the weather was, and then you're in a ditch and it's wet.
Yeah, I mean, can't imagine that. Yep.
It's unbelievable.
How can people, so residents without water, obviously there's a boil water order that is still in effect. How can people get a hold of this water that came from Albany yesterday?
There's some bulk water in gallon jugs down at the municipal building. In fact, I stopped there last night, and Bridget McKinley, the one of the trustees, she was down there handing out water. Said it wasn't a big flow yet.
Yep.
I helped her put some jugs out on the tables and stuff like that, and we had a good conversation as to what was going on. I really feel that it's not a wake up call, because we already knew that our system is old and we need help. And I'm very appreciative that the governor and all his entourage and Roanne DeStito came to us with open arms. I just wish he said the village instead of the town, but
I heard
that's a matter of semantics. But the idea is it was really good. He's an amiable, personable guy. He had a little fun with the mayor's wife, joking around, and it was.
I'm glad you added the joking around.
I can't say enough about how I appreciate him coming up here.
All right, and listen. In times like these, politics need to be set aside, and it's about taking care of this community. At least he didn't say alien, because I've heard that several times from public officials outside the area. Chuck Lester, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you keeping everybody up to date, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. Good luck this weekend.
All
right.
Yep.
Thank you much.
Bye.
I have to tell you, Chuck and I, when he was running, we started off with some fireworks, and I knew even then, despite all of it, this is a hard-headed guy who hits the ground running. And I think that whole team they've got working on things down there right now they're doing just that. So we appreciate the communication we get from and the hard work we get from all of those people down there in the village of Ilion. Brandon Lang, can I keep rolling here if I could? Brandon's standing by right now. Of course, Brandon Lang is the inspiration for the film Two for the Money, and it is Super Bowl 53 this weekend. The Patriots and the Rams. Good morning. What do you think?
It's a tough one, man. This is a tough one. Anytime you get this stinking Patriot team, all 8 Super Bowls been in one-possession games. 6 have been decided by 3 points. You know you're going to get a close game. I have been able to negotiate 8-0 against the spread with this godforsaken team. I've been on the right side, the wrong side. They're 5-3 straight up, 3-5 against the spread. So it's it's stressful with this team.
Yeah. So what advice do you give people here today?
Well, Vegas has undervalued the Patriots the entire playoffs. They made the Patriots a less than 7 favorite against the Chargers. They made them a dog against the Chiefs. They probably should have opened the line Patriots -2.5. Instead, they opened it up the Rams -1. They got a ton of Patriot money, which has pushed the line to 2.5. So now you're sitting here saying to yourself, is the line going to go to 3? If they move it to 3, people are going to buy the Rams to 3.5, and now you get a 3-4 point middle.
Yeah.
And they're screwed. So I don't think they're going to move the line, because if they open up that middle, they could lose $60 million, where if they just stay with where they're at, they got a ton of Patriot money. They're going to probably lose $10, $15 million. But they overvalued the Patriots last year when they opened the Patriots -6. Everybody bet the Eagles down to 4.5. They lost, I think, $12 million. This year they got a ton of Patriot money, too. They stand to lose something in the same neighborhood. They need the Rams for their life. So I would say to people out there, if you like the Patriots, get it now. If you like the Rams, wait. See if Vegas moves it to 3. If they don't, then buy from 2.5 up to 3 and get +3 for the Rams. Like I said, 6 of their 8 Super Bowls have fallen on the 3 number.
Jeff, who are you betting? What would your bet be if you were to place a bet?
I don't know. I think I'm on this Patriot bandwagon now.
All right, I'm going to take the Rams then.
I'm Rams all the way.
Hey, listen.
Husky's had a bad run.
Please. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, just
no.
friendly
I mean,
little bets between
the fact
us.
that you're taking the opposite team does make me feel better.
Like all Patriots Super Bowls, if you think the Rams can get there with their front four, with Brocker and with Sue and with Donald, if you think they can get there without blitz and you play the Rams, you take the points. If they don't get to Brady, he's going to carve them up just like he does everybody. But the X factor is Jared Goff. You know when you go to the Super Bowl, you know what you're going to get with Tom Brady. Think about this. The Patriots are 5-3 straight up. Look at the 3 losses. The first loss to the Giants was the helmet catch. Second loss to the Giants, Wes Welker drop and the Manningham catch up the left sideline. And last year against Philadelphia, as much as the Eagles dominated the game, as much as we watched that game and the Eagles were in complete control, you looked up in the fourth quarter and the Eagles were down 1 and Doug Peterson went for it on his own 42-yard line with 5 minutes to go. That's how close they are to being 8-0 in Super Bowl. So if you think Belichick is going to take away the run game and said, Jared Goff, you got to make play after play after play over 60 minutes to beat me. If Jared Goff beats Tom Brady, you tip your cap and you go on your way. That's the way you look at the game if they can't get pressure with the front four. You know he's going to double Donald, and he's going to say, okay, Brocker, Sue, Fowler, come get him. Come get him, because if you can get him, nobody sacked Brady in the playoffs so far.
Nagel says the Philadelphia Eagles are still Super Bowl champions until Sunday night. Don't you forget it. Brandon, it's BrandonLang.com. Keep an eye on this because you want to see where the line goes and all of that. Go to BrandonLang.com. Good luck this weekend, man. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Got a break. Coming up, we'll speak with Joel Barkin, Vice President of Communications for the United Indian Nation. Everything going on out there, and the topic will come up, I can tell you. They're building and constructing a whole new Vegas-style, tied in with, which casino is it?
It's the Caesars.
Caesars, yeah. This thing's going to be beautiful, and we'll get an update and maybe a little timeline, which would help a little bit. We'll do that coming up next to WIBX. If you notice that Gordon, I've followed Gordon's interesting, laughable career over many years, and he'll never do a speech. Like, for instance, where did you do the speech yesterday? Where was it? Davey, you were there. Where was the speech?
At the train station in Rome.
The train station in Rome. So why did he do it at the train station in Rome? Play the clip. Play the clip. I want you to play the clip.
This promise includes reducing taxes, reducing the size of county government.
Stop it. He's obsessed with reverb. Okay? You can't give a speech without... Play it again. Listen to the reverb in the background.
You're right.
This is natural
this promise
reverb.
Includes reducing taxes, reducing the size of county.
He won't sing karaoke without reverb. He has to have reverb. Imagine what it would sound like if he was trying to, I want to lower taxes. I want to make Oneida County great again.
It doesn't
it doesn't have it, does it?
No, it doesn't have that.
It doesn't.
Energy.
He'll bring a PA system with reverb if he has to. Now listen. I am going to lower taxes. I'm speaking in a cavern. Yeah, that's his thing. And he learned that from Claudia Tenney. She knows. That's his thing. He only speaks at places that are just huge where you get that natural-sounding reverb. Otherwise, you got to pay for it. You got to bring in a sound guy.
I would say, though, that an echo makes it sound empty, which makes it seem like there's not as many
No, you
people
got to
there.
have. Listen,
you know?
you got,
I mean,
the reverb makes up for his horrible policy.
Okay.
It just kind of blends in. You're saying to yourself, wow, this guy's got something. He's got something going on here. Can you deny that? I mean, honestly. Listen to the clip. It's right there. He's obsessed with reverb.
This promise includes reducing taxes, reducing the size of county government.
For God's sakes, he sounds like Kennedy.
Open and transparent government.
All right, stop it. Without the accent. All right, we'll do that free money. We'll give somebody a shot before we leave next hour. Also, Pioneers tickets. Utica College Pioneers are home tonight and tomorrow night. I have a pair of tickets to give away, and we'll do that next hour. And Cinderella the Show, the Broadway show, as well, coming up. Joel Barkin is the VP of Communications for the Oneida Indian Nation. And there's a lot to talk about, including they're pretty close to beginning to building this brand-new facility, which will include gaming, sports betting. Joel, good morning. Thanks for coming on the air. Good morning. Oh, I got to hit this one. Let's try it again. Good morning, Joel. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
So, first off, just a little update, if we could, on the new gaming facility you guys are constructing. Do you have a timeline as of yet on that opening?
You mean the sports betting?
Sports betting, sorry. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this was a pretty eventful week. In Albany, the New York State Gaming Commission released a draft regulation. So that basically kicks off a 60-day comment period, at which time, subsequent to that 60-day period, they will vote to adopt the state regulations, and following which sports betting will be legal at select facilities.
Wow. So certainly it looks like this will be in place for the next NFL season, which hard to believe. Just after the Super Bowl, it's only a few months away from that. But
yes, I think it's later this year. And as far as the Oneida Nation is concerned, our plan is later this year to be up and running.
I want to switch gears just a little bit, and you talk about each year you guys put out an annual report, and it includes a report on the contributions that the Oneida Indian Nation and the casino and everything else that you guys do there, the contribution that it makes to the region and specifically to Oneida County. And that report is out, and there's a pretty big contribution that you guys make.
Yeah, anytime I talk about these numbers, you start throwing millions of dollars around. They sort of seem like empty numbers, but I think what's significant is in 2018, the Oneida Nation, in the face of a lot of competition, an economy that was somewhat on the rocks, if you will, had one of its strongest years in recent memory. We increased our capital projects by $67 million, which is a 22% increase from 2017. And maybe most important to your listeners, we spent almost $100 million, $99 million in Oneida, Madison, and Onondaga counties with our vendors, just alone, small businesses. And in total, in New York State, we worked with about 1,700 vendors, from everything from food producers, IT firms, construction-related companies, et cetera. And if you spoke with one of these vendors, I think what they would tell you, many of the businesses that we work with in the area, we have been working with for 25 years. And that has really, always been a vision of the Oneida Nation, that as the nation does well, as the nation grows, that it brings along businesses in the community with it. And that has certainly been the case. And one of these things, if you talk to our vendors, one of the things they will say is, when you're investing in your own small business, and someone I know you run your own small businesses, you know that having a client, if you will, or a customer like the Oneida Nation, where you are guaranteed the nation will not be relocating. You can depend that as long as the nation is there and your services that you're providing are top-notch, you will continue to have that business and be able to grow that business because you have this anchor. And that's something, the nation is very proud to have provided this community for so many decades.
And I think we touched on this the last time we had you on when we were talking about the sports betting, is the number of local products that you guys currently, whether it's in your restaurants and other places as well, or the stores that have opened, it is involving, it's local. You guys are really celebrating local.
Absolutely. Anytime we can work with local businesses, that is always the preference. And I want to point out, too, that this does not include our payroll increase this year to $157 million for 4,750 employees. That's not included in the overall vendor numbers, nor is the $60 million that has been generated through the historic settlement from 2013 that ended all of the outstanding legal issues. So that's $60 million, actually $63 million that was generated just last year, in addition to the increase in vendor spending and, of course, the payroll.
I don't want to drag you into to local politics, but I think I'm going to drag you into local politics a little bit. Obviously, that includes a relationship with Tony Picenti, and he now has a challenge. Someone who did not support the agreement with the United Nations, and this opponent is backed by Claudia Tenney. How important has the relationship with Tony Picenti been? And what kind of impact, and think about it, without this Oneida Nation money that was agreed upon, I'm not sure where we would be here in Oneida County and in the region.
Well, absolutely. And obviously, the county executive has been a tremendous leader for the region. But I think what people sometimes forget, and, I worked in economic development and in state government for a while, too, and if you go back to 2013 and look at the promises that were made from the settlement alone, and what it took to bring everyone together, it took leadership, it took sacrifices on our own sides. But what was made at the time was a promise that this would generate $50 million a year, right, in public revenues for the state, and much of which, a large percentage of which, was going to Oneida County directly. And if you go back now 5 years, a little more than 5 years from that settlement, not only has it hit that $50 million, it's been exceeded $63 million last year. Tell me, you point to the economic development project where every promise that was made has been exceeded in terms of what the benefit has been. And I think the benefits, as the county executive has spoke to, this money that's been generated through this settlement has held property tax. It has not had any increase in property taxes. It has put money into all kinds of infrastructure and other projects for the county. But most importantly, what it does is it aligns all of our interests, right, so that as the nation does well, the county will do well. And that is the kind of leadership, I think, in both the county executive, it's Madison County, it's all of the political leadership. When you align those interests on behalf of the community, what you see is there's much more potential as opposed to undermining what could be and what has been a tremendous benefit to the region.
And you may not have the numbers in front of you, Joel, but do you have an idea of how many people from Oneida County the nation employs?
Many thousands. So,
well, it's certainly the largest employer.
We are the largest employer in Oneida County. I believe it's about 3,000. And, of course, that does not include the number of jobs that are sustained and created by our vendors, right? Through our partnership. You look at Utica Coffee as a great example, right? And Frank will talk about how when he started working with the Oneida Nation, he had about 4 or 5 employees. And over the course of many years, we expanded. We started putting Utica Coffee in all of our restaurants. We started doing special blends at our Maple Leaf markets. He's now up to 26 employees, which he credits directly to the relationship with the nation, which we're very proud of, right? Wow. Not only are we highlighting a great product and a great local company, but they're expanding job opportunities because of it. So that is a net benefit for everyone.
I want to ask you a final question is, some of these casinos around the state, obviously the saturation of the market after the governor really pushed to have all of these other casinos popping up. You guys took advantage of that in Chittenango, and with your convenience stores and golf courses and everything else that you do. A lot of these casinos are struggling. struggling financially. You guys are not. And so what is the recipe? Is it just the fact that you got out ahead, or you planned for this and planned accordingly?
Well, I guess I would say there are a couple of reasons. The United Nations leadership has been investing. I mean, it had a 25-year head start, right?
Yeah.
So that helps. But I think fundamentally there's a different business model, and the United Nations invests not for quarterly profit earning reports, but what is in the long-term interest of the nation and the region, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain investments that the nation will make that certainly many commercial casinos would never make because it doesn't serve the immediate financial interests of investors. Well, in this case, the investors are the Oneida people, and the Oneida people are forever tied to this area, or the Oneida Nation will always be headquartered in
going nowhere
in upstate New York. They're going nowhere, so that you make business decisions and business investments based on that. And I think there is a very loyal guest population that understands that the type of services that we provide are truly unique in what you can find in upstate. And I think most importantly, if you look at when additional competition came in, a lot of businesses would have sort of stepped back, tightened the belt, made sure that that they were prepared. And the nation is a well-run business, and it always is looking for savings where possible. But it did the opposite. It reinvested. It reinvested in the properties. It opened new properties. It opened new markets. And it was going to say, we are always going to be the newest casino in New York. And that's that is a call that Ray Halberter has made always, that we will always set the standard for what the bar should be for tourism in upstate. And I think if you look at where the investments have gone and how they've ultimately done, that proves that model is working.
Joel Barkin is the Vice President of Communications for the United Nations. As always, we appreciate it, and we'll do it again.
Thank you very much.
Sports
Stay
betting
warm.
Just around the corner. It's a big deal for people, especially this weekend. Yes, stay warm as well. Joel Barkin. Quick break. We'll come back. There's a story out there about a local guy. Are you familiar with swatting? And didn't this just happen with Jimmy Kimmel's house?
Yeah.
Where the guy ended up getting taken out. I believe it was his cook or somebody that was staying at his house. And somebody called authorities, claimed there was an abduction, guns, and violence and danger. Police come storming in, and they take the guy away. That's swatting. Meanwhile, the guy's done nothing. He just, in studio right now, there's a group locally, New York Championship Wrestling. And there's an event coming up a week from tomorrow called Under Pressure. And it's $20 for front row. General admission tickets are $15. Bleacher seating is $10. And it'll be held at the Accelerate Sports Complex in Whitesboro. How you doing, man? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. You looking good?
Eric and I worked together in radio for a long time.
Yeah,
until you went on and became just incredibly successful and famous in all sorts of different things.
All sorts of things. Yeah, I just hypnotized a big group of 20-some-odd people the other night. So
for quitting smoking?
He's trying to quit smoking?
No, that was a weight loss, but I did smoking earlier in the week.
Oh, okay.
See, so I think
you come see me.
You can do anything? Is that how it works?
Maybe we
I don't know, ask my wife that one.
Maybe we bring you back next week to take care. He's trying diligently to.
Really?
We'll see how I do this weekend, yeah.
All right.
I might not even need it, Bill. Like I said, I'm taking the approach that this is
listen,
behind me now.
It's the greatest thing. He'll hypnotize you, and you'll be smoking like a chicken. It's unbelievable. Got to think about that one a little bit.
A little bit.
John Patches, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you a wrestler?
I am the promoter, owner.
Okay.
Sucker.
He's the man.
I'm the man.
He's the man.
All right. So tell us what's going on here.
So when you said an old friend of yours was coming in and they were talking about wrestling, I thought because you used to wrestle, but this is
no. This is
wrestling.
Championship
Wrestling, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is professional wrestling.
Right,
We have,
right.
we have some of the most talented guys you will ever see. I mean, WWE comes to town in a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And people will pay all this money to go see these guys. But with us, we have some of the best, the high flyers, the hard hitters. It's just an amazing. I'm so proud to be part of this organization because of the quality that these guys put out there. And we have guys that come in from Massachusetts, from
Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania,
Buffalo.
Buffalo in May. I have a girl coming from Australia.
Yep.
We just need to finish working on her visa and everything like that. So
Wow. Yeah.
I get the Ugly Ducklings, who are a fantastic tag team. They drove from Chicago to Whitesboro to drive back to North Carolina.
Wow.
So they're coming from all
Yes,
over.
these are big names in the independent world.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. So can you throw out some of the names here? We're talking about, you said the Stepdads versus the Street. High Voltage Omar.
High Voltage Omar is an explosive talent that will definitely end up.
He's going to make it. He's actually been on Lucha Underground. He's had trials there. They've flown him down to Mexico City to work for AAA, La Lucha in California. They've flown him out there.
Wow.
They fly him all over the world. I think he's actually in Chicago right now.
Did you guys watch that show that was on what network? It was about the wrestling, the girls wrestling, the ladies wrestling from the early 80s. Have you seen that?
Wow.
Is
that
it
what you're
called
talking
Wow?
about?
Maybe
Wow
that's
on
what it was.
Access? Yeah.
Wow,
Whew.
yeah. That was really good.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Those
and real, right? I mean, a lot of that stuff is what went on back then.
It was. Oh, you're talking about. Are you talking about the behind the scenes
Wow.
thing? It's
Yeah.
Glow. You're talking about.
Glow is what I'm thinking about.
Because now the same
Have
guy.
you seen that? It's a good series.
Yeah, on Netflix.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And how real is that in the? Because that's kind of like what that was independent. It was before. WWF was certainly before WWE, but they said ladies wrestling just wouldn't work, and they just kept battling and battling. It's a great show.
Yeah.
It was a different time. It was a much more controlled environment.
Right.
The girls couldn't associate with each other. They were in different factions and things like that. So they definitely kept everything as close as you see it as TV, off TV as well.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the real deal. This kind of gives you that real grit of what wrestling used to be. It's changed a lot, right?
And plus, it's really up close and personal.
Right,
I mean, you're 4 feet away from the ring for our ringside guys, so they're seeing it, they're feeling it, and when the action spills outside of the ring, they're right there.
And it's a fantastic environment too.
Yeah.
If you have kids, you can bring them. You don't have to worry about them coming home and then trying it or saying things that you wouldn't want in a family environment too.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so how do people get tickets and all of that stuff?
You can go to the Facebook page, which if you just search for New York Championship Wrestling, there's a link right on there to buy tickets. If you search through Brown Paper Tickets, the website there, you should be able to pull up without a problem. You can also pick up tickets locally at 16 Stone Brew House in Holland Patton, M&O Bar in Utica, Cloud Giant in New Hartford, and Gentleman's Barbershop in New Hartford as well.
How did you get into this? Because I know Eric's been a performer for, and you joined the circus at one point.
I did. I was a ringmaster for the circus.
Not just any old circus.
No, yeah, I was all over the place. I traveled the world, so it was a pretty amazing time in my life.
And Eric was during the days of Rock 107 when it was top 40. Eric was. Everybody always thought you were like Australian or British. You had a little accent.
Yep.
You were the night guy. You were one of those awesome. I mean, there's morning shows and there's the night show, especially in like top 40 radio.
Yeah.
And they are the performers on the station, and you knocked it out of the park at night.
It was a great time. It was a great station, though. You remember back then. It was a great place to be.
And we lost JR, too. That was very, very sad. So. Yes. So, all right. How did you get into this, John?
Well, I've been a fan, lifelong fan. Obviously, we all have to start somewhere.
Did you ever wrestle? Because you look like you've wrestled.
No,
You're a big guy.
I've crossed that age gap to now.
Okay,
I'm just crippled.
Understood. Okay.
But I've always been a fan. I spent years trying to find the information, and New York State did not make it easy until last year when everything seemed to come together for me.
Right.
To be able to find everything I needed. But in the meantime, I started doing color commentary for a company in Massachusetts called Truly Independent Wrestling.
Yeah, that's big out there.
Yes.
When I was in Providence, there were guys that were on our staff that would travel up. They were part of the whole thing. It's a big deal there.
Yep, and it's a fantastic company. So a buddy of mine, he is one of the head writers for them. They needed someone to do color commentary. He thought he'd be good for the job, and I've been there for over a year now.
Wow.
And in that time, I've got to meet some amazing talent, and a lot of those guys I'm able to get to come down on a regular basis.
All right, very cool. And every once in a while out there, I remember that you would get a legendary, like a Hall of Famer, if you would, that would come in, right?
Every now and then, yeah.
Every once in a while.
Usually we out there, they get Brutal Bob Evans, who's worked for
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, and he's been around for about 20-plus years now.
All right, so you decided to do this thing here, and you got Eric. So you're in the ring. You're the announcer.
I am.
Yeah, which fits perfectly.
Yeah.
And you want people to come out, and this is really. You're going to see some incredible professional wrestling.
It's a really awesome time, though, to be in this area, don't you think? I mean,
I do.
Look at what it was back when we were in radio. Everybody was leaving, going away, and now we have the Comets, and we have the baseball team is back in town.
Yeah.
And now we can actually say we have a professional wrestling organization.
That's cool.
Right here. It's really cool. It's really great to be part of.
Right, and I don't plan on leaving here.
Right.
We're going to be doing at least one show a month here. I may branch out to other places in New York State, as that's where my license covers, but this is our home base. So
Okay.
you don't need to worry about...
Do you have to have a license for this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's New York State. We have, have
And
a license for everything.
And what license is it? What are they?
Wrestling promoter's license.
Wrestling promoter's
Which is different than a boxing promoter's license, which is different than an MMA license.
Right. Which was illegal for how long here? Which was
for years
really,
and years,
really
yep.
crazy. Okay, it's called Under Pressure, and it's Saturday, February 9th at the Accelerate Sports Complex on Judd Road in Whitesboro.
Correct.
And tickets you can go to, what was that, Brown
Paper Tickets.
Brown Paper Tickets.
Yep. Or if you go
.com.
to the Facebook page, just
Yep.
go to New York Championship Wrestling, give the page a like, and click on tickets for the event.
Very cool. All right, guys. Thanks, John and Eric. Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Maybe next week. Maybe anti-smoking.
That's right. Get rid of the gum. Come see me. We'll take care of it.
You could even plug this event again for next week. So I'm saying, take advantage. 8:21. Thank you, guys. We'll come right back. The swatting. This is something that you might not even know the term, but it's where some delinquent calls up authorities, calls up police, and says somebody's at the house. They have guns. They're shooting up everybody. It's a dangerous situation. Police get the SWAT team together. They show up. They bash through the doors, and they take a person down who probably just got out of bed, didn't even know what was going on. A lot of times this has been happening to celebrities. Well, it's happened here, too. And we're going to talk to somebody who was a victim of it coming up next to WIBX. Dave Olney, and Dave is Sergeant, although you're in a different capacity here this morning.
Yes.
Your fundraising and all the good things you do in the community capacity. But Dave is, of course, the sergeant down at the New York State Police Barracks in East Herkimer. And Jeff Sheehy, do I have that? Tom. Good morning, Tom.
That's my fault. That's
okay.
Right.
It's always his fault. I'll say, even when it isn't, I'll be like, that's Andrew's fault. Yeah.
Hey, can we get a little reverb?
We could do that. Don't you think it's am I correct? I know you don't want to.
I'm not going there today.
I know, but I am absolutely right.
The what?
It's an obsession with reverb for Dave Gordon. He's got to have reverb. I believe, and he puts on a little political sound, too, when he does it. He changes his voice a little, like he's playing a role. Now, don't comment on this. I know you want to, but... okay, let's start off with the Mohawk Valley Lunch Club. And this is something that I serve as the auctioneer every year.
Thank you very much.
And it's a great event. This year's is coming up on February 23rd. You come, you have dinner, drinks, and you auction a whole bunch of stuff off. And you have the coolest items, and it goes to benefit what?
The Mohawk Valley Lunch Club is a organization that we serve to serve other local not-for-profits.
It started out just as you guys, a group of guys going to lunch.
Just a bunch of guys that were bored in the wintertime, car guys that were bored in the wintertime, we'd get together once a month, go to lunch. And it grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and we started kicking in. Everybody would kick in like $5 at every event, and at the end of the year, we donate $100, to some organization that we all voted on. Well, it's turned into the Mohawk Valley Lunch Club. We are a 501c3, not for profit, and every year we donate about $15,000 to local charitable organizations, or not charitable organizations, local 501c3s.
So these are groups that are doing good in the community, and you help fund them.
Yep.
Like
Abraham House, Pathfinder Village, Feed Our Vets, the Rescue Mission, Ride for Missing Children, Joseph's Experience, the Kurt Wyman Park. There's more. And it's just local organizations that depend on people donating for their survival.
Right.
They don't get money from the government. They're not for profits.
The night is a fun night. It is a good time. And the event, the auction items, which first of all, you're looking for auction items.
Absolutely. We try to fill up the entire exterior wall surface area of the Club Monarch to go all the way around the wall.
And you do.
And we do.
Yeah.
We definitely need more stuff right now. So if there's nothing we're going to turn away right now, but we're looking for things like antiques or memorabilia, collectibles. We have such an array of things.
Nothing you turn away?
Well,
what do you think you guys would get for a painting of Fidel Castro in a Santa Claus outfit?
There's probably a market for that. Bill would probably buy that.
He already did.
I did. That's my, and it's my favorite. It's my Santa Claus. It comes out every year.
I'm sorry, I won't give it to him.
You know, I got the thing you have hanging in your dining room, the art there. Somebody donated that art, and I'm looking at them. I did not see any real value in it. It didn't like. To me, it didn't stand out to me. Bill bought it, and he's crazy. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it fits our kitchen.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is when I got home, my wife liked it, and that's always a good. That always is a good sign. So, but I cannot get over. And you made these the breathalyzer lamp.
Yes,
an old breathalyzer, and it's a lamp.
We'll have one this year too. It's
it's the coolest thing.
It's technology that went out in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And these old, I have a handful still left of these old breathalyzers that I got from other agencies that were just throwing them out. And I actually make lamps out of them. Bill, you bought one a couple of years ago.
Coolest thing.
And it's an actual.
And it lights up. The meter works.
Theoretically,
sometimes I blow into it just to see what happens. Yeah. It's crazy.
And the stuff that we have this year, we have probably the biggest racing collectible things, the biggest amount of things.
Biggest year for racing collectibles.
Yep, we have an actual, a real, we've had plastic reproduction hoods and trunks off racing. This year we have a real hood off a car that's autographed. We have a real trunk off a car that's autographed.
And that's kind of a cool thing you can hang in a garage if right?
Yeah, they're real. They were used in races.
Yeah.
I brought in today 2 uniforms, Dan Hemrick and Ryan Newman, race-worn, autographed, full racing suits. I have Dale Earnhardt stuff. I have an unbelievable amount of die-cast. Dale Earnhardt Sr., I have Dale Earnhardt Jr., I have a ton of stuff, thousands of dollars worth of die-cast stuff.
Hold on, Davy's questioning something. You sure? You're just looking down there? You can make a bid on any of this stuff, Davey. You got to go on that Saturday, February 23rd. But obviously, all cool items. You have getaway stuff, and there are trips. There are you get some really unbelievable, and you never know when you push and push to get the highest bid on something. You never know when somebody walks away with a steal. It does happen.
Every year there's some unbelievable steals. We have a $3,000 package for Watkins Glen this year. And if we get $500 for it, that's what it goes for. If that's what the highest bidder is going to go for. We have Charlotte Motor Speedway. I think it's the Coca-Cola 600. We have a package for that. We have a package for Eldora Speedway, which is Tony Stewart's track in Ohio.
I usually say things like, I am not letting this sell for that price. And then after about 10 times, Dave will come up and say, let it go. Wait, please. And I'm like, okay.
Moving on.
Yesterday,
it's gone. Big Apple Music, Mark and Pete and Mark Jr., they're so good to us. So they donated 2 guitars, an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar. And I drove them to Steve Hale, Steve's Restorations. I drove with my friend Steve Hale yesterday. And he's going to put a custom paint job on him for him.
And he shows up every year. He's there every year.
Oh, yeah. Steve's a member of our club. And he actually bought Elaine's piano right off the. Remember, we sold her piano right off the floor.
So right. So over at Club Monarch, they had a piano, and she said, I'd love to get rid of this piano so you can get anybody to take it. He did.
We auctioned it, and Steve bought it.
Yeah. Wow. And what did you make out of an old upright piano? Did you do something with it?
I did. 2 years ago. I want to do another one. I just didn't have the time this year.
It was incredible.
It was a bar. So I took the sound bar out of the back. I took all the guts out. And when you open the front of it, it was an oak LED lit custom bar.
Yeah.
And we were determined that if that went for $1, it was going, because I wasn't bringing that home with me. But we got a couple bucks for that.
I almost felt like we were going to have to pay somebody to take it away. No, it was beautiful. It was the piano. You felt like you were going to have to pay for somebody to take it away.
Yeah.
But I think he was looking to grab the piano he would restore it or do something clever with it, because that's what he does.
Yeah.
Or maybe to play it. I don't know.
I think he ended up giving it away.
Oh, he did?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, it is coming up on February 23rd. If somebody has an item, a business, a resident who just says, you know what, I have this cool thing, I'll bet this would sell. If they want to donate it, it's for a great cause. How do people give stuff?
Yep. Mohawk Valley Lunch Club is on Facebook, and we're very reactive. If you send us a message, instant message, or messages on a page, we'll get back with you right away. And please, like I said, we are looking for stuff. We are a little bit behind. I'm sure we will be where we need to be, but we're in that crunch mode. Dana and I have been really working hard, and some of the club members have been working hard to make this thing. This will be our 4th year to make it good.
Really cool. And along with you is Tom Sheehy. And Tom, so let's explain what swatting is.
Okay.
Because I never remember the phrase, but this thing it's pretty awful, and it happens.
Yeah,
it's going to Jimmy Kimmel. His house just got hit the other night.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So explain what it is.
So I guess the definition is somebody that calls 911 center saying that there's an incident where there's somebody either with a knife or a gun,
hostages,
or some hostages, or somebody's dead, or somebody got hurt. And
be careful going in, police, because he's armed.
He's armed. He's armed, and he's ready to kill anybody that shows up at his door. And they try to generate, as many cops as possible to come to the scene. So they did it. They did it to me.
How in the world did it happen to you?
All right. So there's a lot of cameras that I put up. There's a lot that we put up for the local towns and villages.
And that's your business.
That's my business.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do?
So we do security, access control, camera systems, alarms.
Yeah.
All that.
Okay.
So a lot of times we put up some cameras on the boulevards, on certain streets with large intersections, and we do that to support the local police, and so they have an idea what's going on.
So someone thought you were supporting police. So that's why they targeted you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the reason why.
I think a lot of times what they do is, by the way, it's TAS Electronics.
TAS Electronics. Yeah.
I think what they do is, in this case, the way I understood it was the person was actually watching the cameras, and they get pleasure on seeing the police response.
Yes.
Wow.
So they call it in while they're watching the cameras to see how many police cars they can get to show up.
Wow.
So there are a couple cameras that are up, and then they're attached to YouTube. So they're general view, open cameers. Okay. So anybody that wants to go to live YouTube can just go there
and you'll be able to see it
and view it live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of them are dual purpose. Some of them go back to recorders. Some go back to the police station.
Was this at your personal residence or the business?
No. This one was on the Boulevard,
okay.
Oriskany Boulevard and Main Street.
Yeah.
It's a PTZ camera. It's there all the time. It's live to YouTube. It also seconds as a stream that goes back to Yorkville Police Department. Nida County Crime Analysis Center has it.
God, if something were to happen, it's on camera, and
it's on camera. Yeah,
this is happening more and more, especially here in New York State. Cameras.
Do you remember?
All over.
Do you remember when the mayor got run over by a car on Main Street there?
I do.
Remember?
Yes.
Tony Leone.
That was all on video.
That was all on video.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
But so they called the police and. I assume.
So you were you were the target.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I guess. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
But so you were at the location over there?
No.
That part I don't understand.
No. So my business is behind my residence.
Oh, okay.
So the YouTube is licensed, so it generates. TAS Electronics owns the camera,
and that address
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. So they think they're hitting a business. Who knows? They might even know more. They might know something about you. You don't know. So what did they do? And what
so
happened?
They called the 911 center, and they said, "You just wait." That's just what we talked about before. And next thing you know, I'm looking on my security monitor in my bedroom, and I see 50 cop cars out there, and I'm like,
"Wow,
what's the deal?" And
did they get on the speaker? Did they?
So no, they didn't get on a blowhorn. Right?
Okay, come out.
They wouldn't have woken.
By the way,
up
Dave, if you ever need, Dave Gordon has a good reverb setup.
So actually, it was a 911 center that called me. They're like 4 o'clock in the morning. Is
your cell phone or your house?
They called. I think my cell phone. I think they called my cell phone. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even know how they got it, but they did.
Yeah.
Everything okay? I'm like, well, yeah. I'm trying to sleep. Everything seems okay. I don't know.
Except for the 50 cop cars outside.
Except for that.
Yeah.
Then, the next call was an officer who said, which I knew who he was, and he said, everything okay? And, there's a report of a guy with a gun and automatic weapon and a knife and whatnot.
Didn't they threaten the police?
Yeah. So anybody that,
So anybody that comes in, they're gonna shoot a cop.
Yeah.
Wow. So at least there's been enough awareness that this is happening. Did they have a sense that this might not be real? And did they believe you, by the way?
Well, yeah, a lot of them know me, so
Yeah.
You say you do business with
I
them.
do
Right,
business.
right.
Fortunate, probably.
Yeah.
And otherwise, they probably wouldn't have him.
Because if it was me,
they'd
they'd have taken me out. You're right. They'd have taken the door down.
Well, I know, Tom was best man in Dana's and my wedding.
Oh, okay.
And I know him in it, and I was questioning whether it was real or not because I do know him. So.
I could see it happening. He's finally snapped.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So the scary part of this is what could happen. And Dave, you are full well aware of, you now have police. You're in an amped situation. Everybody's got their guns drawn. He makes one wrong. You don't know him. He makes one wrong move. And I think there's stories around the country where people have been shot and killed.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the police know Tom, but still, there's been police killed by people they know.
Yeah.
Well, there are troopers that I can tell you the stories that were killed by people they knew. So you can't go into anything thinking that, all right, this is just a BS call or whatever. I'm going to walk up and knock on the door and talk to this guy. You have to go with a certain response. And there have been incidents where the innocent person that was the victim of this swatting was killed. Or, you picture yourself and all of a sudden you got somebody banging on your door at 4 o'clock in the morning and it's a crazy world out there, and you come to the door, and let's say you have a gun trying to protect yourself, and then you open the door, and the police are there. They see you with a gun. They don't know what you're doing. You don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, this could always end horribly. Andrew.
And forgive me if you've covered this already, but one of the terrible things about this is there's really no way to track down these people who make these calls, right?
That's
in this
situation. I got an update yesterday. The Yorkville police are working with Los Angeles police and the FBI, and they have a huge task force now to combat this.
So you think this came from out of the area?
It definitely came. They definitely have it out of the area.
I don't know what's going on. I'm getting calls every day, and they're local numbers.
Yep.
And you're like, well, this isn't a solicitor, and you're answering the phone. And how are they getting these local numbers? It must be Google or
Google numbers,
or they're
random,
or they're faking. You see it coming up as a local number, but it really isn't.
I got to tell you, yesterday I get these all the time, and I actually kind of enjoy messing with them. I get yelled at by Dan all the time, and I have some pretty good recordings of them. But I got one yesterday that knew my name, and that scared me. It was the same. It was the same type of voice. It was the same credit card scam. And the person said, "Aren't you Mr. Only?" And I was like, "Nope, that's not me. I don't know why you're asking for that person." But that was the part that really concerned me. Is now this is the first time they ever said my name. It's usually a random call, and I'm like, "What credit card do you call?"
They're all that information is so available on the web. That's the scary part.
So another thing that I found out the other day is this guy hit over 50 people that night. So
that night.
Wow. So he was on a binge.
Yeah, he was on a binge. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
They got a pretty good track on him.
Yeah.
But
for all we know, it could be overseas. You don't know.
Yeah.
Although you think they have a track on him, and
they're
going
very
back to L.A.
They're very confident that this guy is.
And you know what? They, Dave knows the criminal mind far better than the rest of us, but they tend to do it again. So you'd think, they've They've done it so many times. You think they'd be like, well, I got lucky, so I'm going to stop. But they don't. They do that one more time. They feel invincible.
And that's the reason why they knew that there was something fishy with this.
Yeah.
It's because a second call came in to the Los Angeles Police Department, and the 911 center got notified of that.
Okay.
So that's when they said, oh, this looks to
Connecting.
be a fake. Right.
Yeah.
'Cause he's the- yeah.
Well, the same technology I would assume that they're able to use to take advantage of people, authorities are able to use to catch those taking advantage. So.
There's certainly some major challenges, and then like you said, if it's overseas, are we going to extradite somebody from Europe or something for something like this, or even from another state? Are we going to go to Arizona and extradite somebody for this? I don't
Probably
know.
not.
We should though.
Yours we should, and yours ended well.
It ended good. Yeah. I had my door,
but it could have been. Yeah, I can just see. I don't
no
know
replacement hinges. And
that thing they used. I don't know what you call it. You just
The
take
battering ram?
take a
ramp.
door down. Yeah.
He did all the work on the armadillo. Now they're going to park that in front of his house. But Utica's armadillo.
Okay.
He did all the work.
That's an interesting pictures out of that.
I'll bet. Okay. So, I guess what advice? Wrapping this up, what advice would you give to someone if this happened to them? And, the sad part is you're being awakened in the middle of the night most times.
If you've that is difficult, and the best advice is comply with whatever you're asked to do by law enforcement.
Yeah.
Law enforcement.
Hope to God they're in a uniform.
Yep.
And they're not unmarked, because you might assume that it's somebody trying to raid your house or something.
Yep. Law enforcement. I have 32 years of experience as a police officer, and I don't know a single police officer who ever went to work wanting to shoot somebody, wanting to be in a confrontation like this. So law enforcement, they're going to do what they have to do to try to de-escalate things and investigate things and make sure it's not what it's presented to be.
Yep.
And if you comply, and it's 100% of the time you comply, you do what you're asked to do, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Right now, at this moment in time, you got to come out with your hands up, and we'll probably cuff you and talk to you, and we'll figure it out. Obviously, if they go in the house and there isn't somebody laying there that's been stabbed or shot, and
I believe the story and maybe there's more to the story. This Jimmy Kimmel story. He wasn't there, but whether it was his chef or somebody was there. I think they took him in. They thought he generated the phone call. So I don't know what ended up happening out of that. Maybe he did, but or it was a swatting situation.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, are you mad that they called you and they woke you up and they did this? I think the Yorkville police and the surrounding police did a great job.
Yeah.
You just got to be patient with them, you know? They don't know.
They reached out to you, which is big. So you were able to explain, and it probably helped that they knew who you were.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, before you go, you got to talk about this hatchet.
Oh,
now this, it's not like you carry it around for protection purposes.
Boy, I tell you, it would do the job, though.
It would. That thing's sharp, by the way, too.
This was donated by one of the people from our organization. It was made locally. I don't know what you'd even call this. It's almost looks like a medieval type of hatchet. But I definitely will be bidding on this. It's Damascus steel. The design in the steel is just unbelievable.
Looks like something you'd see on like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, we were
the quality is incredible.
We were talking about, and Tom brought this up. Tom, right? I said Jeff before. Tom brought this up in the other room. Which end would you have to rather be hit by? And I think the pointy end, so that you're out cold.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that first one. The first one would probably
I think they both do the job.
The first one might actually sever any thought you might have.
But what
any thought of
what a display piece! I mean,
that's really cool.
It's just absolutely gorgeous piece of craftsmanship.
And the way the metal has swirls in it and stuff. I mean, that is just a beautiful piece of craftsmanship.
It's got inlay in it, and
you don't know who made that. Somebody donated it. You don't know who made it.
Yep, he told us, but I have a very, I don't remember.
Retention is. Yeah. It erodes as the years go on.
Yeah, it does. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you about one other thing. We have a collection of dollhouses. The same person gave us.
Okay.
And you think, dollhouse, big deal. It takes up right now. They're in my spare bedroom in my house.
Yeah,
they're big. They're
you're talking 3 feet tall, and
yes, we have like 15 of them, and they're handmade by this person's grandmother, I think. They've been in the family for years. No place for them. So we've had them in our house since this summer. They're taking up an entire room. They're gorgeous. We can't bring them all to Club Monarch for the auction. We're going to bring some down there, and I think we're going to try to sell some online before that, or maybe after that, because it's just too bulky to bring them down there. But we talk about unique items that we have, and that's one of them. That it's an entire town. It's just unbelievable the detail that went into these. You couldn't buy something like this.
Right,
These are
right.
something that somebody made.
I wonder if they use the hatchet to cut the wood down. You never know.
Maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
All right, anything else you guys want to add?
Nope, just like I said, we're looking for goods and services from businesses. We're looking for anything anyone would like to donate. You think that somebody would like? We've had everything from. Remember, we had the gazelle mounted gazelle heads a couple of years ago, and we were like, "What are we going to do with these?" And they went for a good price. The people that have them love them. They're mounted in they're displayed in their house.
Yeah, it's a conversation piece.
Yeah.
They're cool
and
stuff.
Everything in between.
I just wanted to thank you for helping us out with the video for the Crosley family.
That was very emotional to edit. I struggled with that, and I can't imagine what that family's gone. And everybody that worked with him and knew him, and I can't imagine. So it's a terrible thing that happened.
We brought that to the family last night, and Dana and I, and we played it for him, and it was very emotional. And when we posted it last night, you wouldn't believe the responses we got.
Yeah. Well, I hope, as I said to his mom, I hope it's something that it helps them in what they're going through.
Absolutely did.
Because
they were so appreciative for that.
Just a horrible, horrible thing. So, all right.
Thanks, Bill.
Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Gary Heenan, head coach, on right now. Good morning, Gary. Let's talk about these two teams this weekend.
Yeah, good morning, guys. It's action-packed this weekend, coming off a couple big home wins. We've only lost in one of our last 10 years, so we're rolling pretty good. We find ourselves a couple points behind first place with a game in hand. So tonight is huge. The game with the team we're trailing is Elmira, so we play them tonight. So it's kind of a big match in terms of who's going to have home ice in the playoffs here.
Okay.
We beat them, as you know, in our championship game last year, and then embarrassed them a little bit on their home ice when their Teddy Bird toss. We shut them out 6-0. So they're going to come in with an edge.
Oh, so you returned a favor. That is awesome.
Yeah, I've experienced that, so that's very embarrassing.
Well, being on the other side of that, it's got to be a completely different feeling.
Yeah, it is. I actually felt a little bad for it.
I know.
Yeah, it's I haven't lived it, but great for our team. They're going to come in all kinds of ticked off, and as you know, it is our biggest rivalry, Elmira, these days. So there tends to be a little bit of hate in the air, and it's to a real good edgy hockey game. And First Source will be hosting the night tonight. Tomorrow night is a real special evening with Make-A-Wish, which you guys are well aware of. Some little girl who's battling a life-threatening illness will be granted her wish if the puck drops, so get there early. It'll be a real special evening with a team that beat us 6-1 on and embarrassed us, a team that
it is a big
every
game.
time.
Yeah. All right. It is tonight at the Odd. Tomorrow night at the Odd. Game time 7:00, and pretty cool, Gary. And playoffs just a couple of weeks away.
3 weeks away, and everything counts. Let's get down. We'll see you guys here.
All right. Thanks so much. I'll be there tonight.
See you, Coach.
All right, Gary. Thanks. UC Hockey. Let's do a pair of tickets to win for tomorrow night. One pair for tomorrow night's game. It's going to be a big one. Remember, they lost to Lebanon Valley, as Coach just said. So it'll be a big game tomorrow night. And, of course, the Make-A-Wish tomorrow night as well. Caller 5, you want to do that? Pair of tickets for tomorrow night's game, UC Hockey. Caller 5 right now at 315-736-0186.